Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for the Town of Pelham Council for Monday, May 2nd, 2016 to order. We will begin with the singing of the national anthem. I would ask Councillor Papp to lead us, and I would ask all who are able to rise, please.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot of, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you all. First item of business is adoption of the agenda. It has been moved by Councillor Rybak, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the agenda for the May 2nd, 2016 regular meeting of council be adopted as circulated. Are there any changes to the agenda? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. That is any conflicts of interest. Do any members have any conflicts of interest they need to disclose? Councillor Papp?
I have a conflict with the presentation by Mr. Bellhouse and Mr. Boggio. I am the president of Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Niagara and will be excusing myself for the presentation.
Okay.
Because we are the recipient of the proceeds.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other conflicts? Can that be so noted that there are no other conflicts? Thank you. Now we move to presentations, delegations, and the regional report. We start off with some awards for Pelham firefighters, and I would ask the Deputy Mayor to join me down below along with the Fire Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. My pleasure once again to acknowledge long service to the Pelham Fire Service. We have a number of members this evening that have spent 20 years providing service to the Pelham Fire Department, and we're here to acknowledge that. So on the from the federal government, when you hit the 20-year milestone, the federal government awards you a medal of long service, and I'd like to do that. So, Mayor, I'd like to take a few words.
Thank you very much, Chief. On behalf of the Deputy Mayor and Council, I want to acknowledge and thank members of our fire service for their dedication, for their sacrifice. They're always there, day or night, when needed in the community, and the community counts on them. And they're always willing to accept that responsibility. We're here to honor two this evening that have generously given, and their families for longer than 20 years, and also a special presentation for a member of the fire service who was serving for more than 42 years. So on behalf of council, I want to acknowledge and thank all the members of the fire service for their dedication and their service to the community. Chief.
I have DC Gutenberg and DC Simmons join us up here to present the medals. First firefighter, 20-year long service, firefighter Dean Cooley. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the service. Appreciate it.
Dean, your family's here, we gotta make sure you will get a picture.
Our second member would like to present medal to firefighter Marcel Morin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Anna wants to do a photo. Excuse me. Sorry.
Unfortunately, our other two firefighters, both receiving 20-year medals, weren't able to attend tonight due to their work commitment. So on behalf of absent board to acknowledge and accept the award, firefighter Terry Beckett. And final firefighter Stephen Rath.
Chief?
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The next award, actually not award, it's a presentation of memorabilia and honor. I'd like to ask Roy Moffett, Lieutenant Roy Moffett, to come up and join me. And unfortunately, earlier this year, we lost one of our longest standing members, Ralph Smith. He had 42 years service in active, and then a number of years also with the association. Ralph was a tough loss. Been around a long time, good friend, and I'd like to invite Ellen, his wife, and his family up front here. On behalf of Mayor, Council, the town, and the fire department, we'd like to present this in memory of Ralph.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Ralph is an awesome person, and I'm so appreciative to accept that on his behalf. Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Get a picture around it?
Yeah, sure.
Somebody does want to come up?
Oh, sorry.
May I ask the chief to just describe what's on the, or Roy to describe what's on this, so those that maybe can't see? It might be a little emotional, but.
That's okay, no, it's good. I'm okay. As you look at it, this is the progression of all the, our flashes over time. This is, his helmet flash. Of course, the last thing that, this was, put together by the, funeral home. They did that up, and if you remember, it was on his casket. And then this is his, I don't have my glasses on, unfortunately, this would be his, Lifetime Achievement Award for the town, right? And then one for- and then one from the call. And then these are all his, Lifetime Achievement badges for all his time of service, his hat, helmet, his, suit, helmet, and just one time, this is the one time that, Ralph actually trained.
You got evidence.
And that's Ralph accepting his award, so it's very, it's
Beautiful.
Well done.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks again. Thank you, Chief, for organizing, and other members of the service for organizing that very fitting tribute for, especially for Ralph. Thank you. Now we move to delegations. We have two delegations this evening. The first is by Matt Burnett, representing the Niagara Sustainability Initiative. Thank you very much for joining us.
Right. Good evening, members of council. I'd just like to start by introducing myself as Matt Burnett. I'm from Niagara Sustainability Initiative. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the Pelham Fire Department for their services and their sacrifice as well. That was a very nice tribute, and I'd like to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Okay. So I just have a brief presentation. I hope everyone can see it. The presentation this evening will begin with an overview of our organization, a little bit of who we are and what we do in Niagara. Then I'll move into our main program, which is the Carbon Project, give a description of what that program involves, what the benefits are of membership, and then discussions that we've recently been having with the regional government and the other municipalities about a joint membership announcement for our 5th annual Evening of Recognition on May 24th. All right, so Niagara Sustainability Initiative is a nonprofit organization that was established in 2010 with the purpose to advance economic and environmental sustainability in Niagara. We operate with a small staff of 4 full-time employees and a small army of volunteers to help us expand our reach in the community. Our purpose is to help businesses, through our membership program, enhance their environmental and economic performance through identifying more sustainable alternatives and improving their efficiency. Niagara Sustainability Initiative was originally based on a similar organization, a similar nonprofit operating out of Waterloo Region called Sustainable Waterloo Region. I brought these to hand out, but I'm not sure if there will be enough time for everyone to get a look, but they are here if anyone is interested. Sustainable Waterloo Region operates a very similar program out of Waterloo. They currently have 90 organizations participating across the region in their program. Together, Niagara Sustainability Initiative and SWR are part of a broader program called the Sustainability Collab. Sustainability Collab is a organization that spans across the province, and it manages 8 similar nonprofits that operate very similar results-based sustainability programs. That relationship is beneficial to us and our members as it provides a more extensive store of resources and support and a larger platform for provincial recognition of the successes of our members. To us, sustainability means meeting today's needs without compromising the needs of future generations. We work with our members to help them identify their sustainability challenges and work to address those sustainability challenges through a number of resources and support that we provide through our main program, which is the Carbon Project. So the Carbon Project is a membership-based program. With it, members get access to our core services, which include our season of events that runs from September to April. And events consist of technical workshops or larger conferences. They can be educational, and they can also be for networking as well, sharing best practices and learning what others are doing in the community. On top of our events, we have our carbon reporting software, With our carbon reporting software, we generate reports annually based on an organization's carbon footprint. With that carbon footprint, we help our businesses understand it and analyze it so that they can find ways to reduce that by improving their environmental efficiencies, engaging their staff in more sustainable corporate behavior. With that, we also provide online resources. I brought a few just to provide examples of what our resources are. So they include guiding documents. We have this great document on sustainable procurement policies, so helping organizations develop their own environmental policies and learn best practices about what's going on, not only in Ontario and Canada, but on an international scale, what the standards are and what the best practices are. We help our organizations also develop their own green team, which is a core voluntary team within an organization, sort of like a committee, but more active in a sense that they will be carrying out some of the projects themselves and also engaging with our organization along the way. So also through the Carbon Project is the public recognition that we provide through our annual reports, our website, and at our events as well. So with all those core services, there are a number of benefits that come with the Carbon Project. There's cost savings through improving your efficiencies, identifying different incentives that are available at all levels and for different types of programs, and then also engaging employees within an organization through education to change the behavior and culture within an organization to be more forward-thinking about what impacts certain behaviors might be having environmentally and economically as well. Another benefit is employee attraction and retention. We know of a number of studies that indicate that millennials in particular are concerned with the environmental or social impact of the organizations that they are deciding to commit to and work with long term. Knowing that youth retention is important for Niagara's long-term plans in general, we believe that this is a very important benefit and helps any type of organization have a very strong corporate social responsibility background. Brand enhancement is another benefit. We help highlight the successes of our members. Through our transparent third-party reporting program, we look at exactly what our members are doing, show their footprint, analyze their data, and provide that publicly at our annual evening of recognition. Through our annual reports, I'm not sure if anyone will be able to see this, but I can just bring it around the room if that's all right. We help identify the different scopes of carbon emissions and then help our members to set.
You can just pass it around, pass it to council, and then we'll get it back to you at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
And so we help recognize the commitments that our members are making to reducing their carbon footprint long-term, having a real positive environmental, social, and economic impact in their communities. And then risk mitigation is another benefit for all organizations of any type. Risk mitigation essentially means helping your organization be adapted to future challenges that lay ahead. One in particular that's become increasingly popular in Niagara and Ontario in particular is cap and trade legislation. Through our program and through some of the events that we have and the resources that we provide, we identify exactly how cap and trade will affect different businesses and identify strategies for how businesses can be best prepared for cap and trade so that it's a seamless transition, and that businesses are able to thrive in the future low carbon economy, which is a priority for Ontario, Canada, and also the rest of the world. In addition to those core benefits that are pretty standard across any type of organization, we also believe that there are a number of municipal benefits, in particular with the Carbon Project. One of them being a bolstered sustainability plan. So this is something that would build upon current energy management and GHG reduction plans to be more holistic, to incorporate other aspects of strategic planning, to make sure that there's just a long-term outlook to it, both environmentally and economically. And then streamlining the GHG reporting process so that as cap and trade comes into play, expected January of 2017, organizations know exactly how to do this carbon reporting. It's something that's very easy for them, and they know exactly what it'll mean in terms of cap and trade. In addition to those, not on the slide, we believe that through our program, there's the added value of the local recognition. Through our transparent and credible third-party reporting program, there's a level of transparency and credibility that's hard for many organizations to achieve on their own. And then also, by joining as a leader to the Carbon Project, an organization, particularly a municipality, is better able to leverage the businesses within their community to act in a more sustainable way, not only for their own best interest, but for the best interests of the community that they represent. This would help businesses ensure that they are better able to adapt to cap and trade, and also make sure that they can remain long-term within the communities that they help support. So membership, so Carbon Project is a membership-based program. Membership is based entirely on the number of individuals within an organization. I know, Mr. Mayor, that we had spoken previously, and I understand that it might not be a good time for membership, but I still wanted to have this presentation to provide background information and make sure that it was an equal opportunity for all municipalities in sharing this information before getting into some of the next points. A little bit more background on our membership. We currently have 22 members that together make up 10% of Niagara's entire workforce. These include Niagara College, Brock University, Walker, General Motors, City of St. Catharines, and Township of Wainfleet as well. So annual membership fees range from $520 for a small organization of 1 to 5 people, and then upwards of $5,200 annually for a organization of 500 plus employees. So with recent discussions that we've been having over the past month and a half, 2 months, with the region's Economic Development Department and Waste Management Department, there's been an indication that the region is interested in joining our program and would like to foster more support from other municipalities to join as well, because they see the value in having Niagara as ready for the low carbon economy as possible. So there's indication that they will provide a partial subsidy of between 20% to 50%, depending on how many municipalities take up the offer. The offer is standing until May 20th of this year, as we would like to make a joint announcement with all municipalities participating at our 5th annual Evening of Recognition, which is our big final event of the season. So our Evening of Recognition will be on May 24th at White Oaks Resort and Spa. Everyone's invited. It's free to attend. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll be celebrating the achievements of our membership by giving out awards for the biggest GHG reduction, or the best green team, or the most active sustainability champion, which would be an individual within an organization that has really propelled their organization's environmental or economic performance. Invited are all top management from across our network and the Niagara region. We're expecting many guests from all levels of government, locally and provincially and federally. At the federal level, we will have MP Vance Badaway there to present some certificates of achievement, and we're also expecting MP Elizabeth May to be there as well to give a presentation about sustainability and the environment. With the joint announcement that we've been proposing with the region, that'll be made there in addition to other announcements for other municipalities and other joining businesses. And so that's a brief overview of what I wanted to share with everyone today. And at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
No problem.
Mr. Burdette, do members of council have any questions for our presenter? What would be the amount for the town?
So, okay, yeah.
What are the ranges in terms of the membership?
Yeah,
This is why I thought it should come to council. It's something that is above and beyond if council were to choose to do this.
Yes. So I believe when we spoke previously, you mentioned that the number of full-time employees at the town is between 51 and 100 employees. And so for
Closer
that,
to the 51, but
closer to 51. So if it were between 51 to 100, that would be in the $3,120 range. And then if it were below 50, it would be $2,080 for the membership. And that would include all the core services in addition to additional opportunities that we can provide for peer-to-peer and that.
okay, thank you. Any other questions for the presenter?
Bob? The membership fee is for what, fiscal year to fiscal year or calendar year?
It depends on when you would sign up.
So from the time we join, it's 1 year from then. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Thank you very much for your presentation, and very interesting to look through the report and to see how some of those businesses, other groups, et cetera, have addressed their carbon footprint. So thank you very much. And I think if you want to grab that there, thank you. I do have a motion. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham receives Matt Burnett's presentation regarding the Niagara Sustainability Initiative Carbon Project for information. Councillor Ribyak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you call the question, just a quick comment. We have an initiative amongst our employees looking at the greening of the town, and I'm wondering whether we mightn't invite, well, first of all, to provide this presentation to that group, and perhaps that group can meet with NSI and perhaps give us advice as to whether or not we ought to proceed with that. Inasmuch as we have that group and they're working on it, it seems like that would be a way of proceeding.
Okay, thank you. So can we, I don't know if you want to respond, can we make just a quick amendment to the motion that we receive it for information and forward to Pelham's Green Team?
I would like to.
And ask for them to get back to us? Okay, you'll make that motion?
I will.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Papp? Any other speakers to that motion, to the amendment, sorry? There being none, I call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Any opposed? The amendment carries. Any further speakers to the motion as amended? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries as amended, so we'll now forward that to our green team, our internal team, and look forward to information coming back from them. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Really
Best of luck with that event. I don't think we'll be able to join you that evening. We actually have a special council meeting, but
Okay.
thanks very much. And as well, thank you for participating in our economic development work that we've been doing. So thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you again. Next on our agenda is a delegation by Gary Bellhouse and Larry Boggio. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I guess I might as well just sit down. Is that all right? Or do you want me to stand?
Oh, I don't know if we'll be able to see you if you sit
Okay,
down, but
I'll stand. I'll stand up. I'll stand up.
you may if you wish. It's up to you.
Mayor Augustine, councillors, staff, and members of the public.
Just a sec, before you proceed, the clerk wants to assist. Is there a
Just going to
presentation?
put a little video on, but the video is like about 45 seconds, and it can go between myself and Gary.
Okay.
Yeah. Where do I push? Oh, okay. I'll just push that. Good. I can do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Again, thank you very much for having us here this evening. I'm glad that the NSI was able to go first and explain what they were all about, because they're part of our group for this Big Brothers Big Sisters ride. A couple of years ago, we had a little meeting, and we had it at our house, and we had about 20 or so odd people show up. And Big Brothers Big Sisters is in need of funds. And so we said, well, we did some brainstorming. We said, well, what could we do to raise money? And Gary, he came up with the idea of doing a bike ride. And so we got together, we did the bike ride. We ran one last year. We raised approximately $12,000. We had 100 people show up. We had a nice ride. We had something for them all to eat. They got T-shirts, and Gary will explain more of that. But what I'm here more to do is to explain why we decided to do this for Big Brothers Big Sisters, why we decided to raise this money. Well, if you're to look between January of this year and March 31st, you'll find that Big Brothers Big Sisters provided services to 523 children and youths in our communities. Of that, 15 children were in Pelham, 25 were in Wainfleet, 73 were from Fort Erie, 124 from Port Colborne, and 286 were from Welland. So there is a need for this in the Big Brothers and Big Sisters group in this area. And right now, they are trying to expand in the Welland, Pelham, Port Colborne, Wainfleet, and Greater Fort Erie area. So basically the southern part of the peninsula, of which Pelham is part of. Most of the funding that they receive comes from United Way Niagara and United Way Niagara Falls and Fort Erie. However, there is no secure funding. Approximately 75% of their annual budget is raised through fundraising events, such as what we are doing. And we are what you would call is a third-party event. Members of the public doing it to raise money. It takes approximately $1,000 per child to run programs for them. So, 523 children, $523,000. So that's only been for this first part of the year. They do have other fundraisers, and there's a lot of it that's actually going on in the Fawn Hill area. On June 6th, there's the annual golf tournament at Lookout Point Country Club. On June 13th, Pro-Con golf tournament, and again at Lookout Point Country Club. On June 19th, that's our Long Beach ride, and that's in the Port Colborne and Wainfleet area. And Saturday, July 30th, there's an annual sawhorse race, and that's being done in Port Colborne. And on Sunday, November 6th, the annual Sisterhood of Style, which takes place at Lookout Point Country Club in Fawn Hill. So there are a lot of different fundraisers going on in the Fawn Hill area to help Big Brothers Big Sisters, and for that they're probably very appreciative. Now, Big Brothers Big Sisters has played a major part in my family and my wife and I. My wife was a big sister to a 9-year-old girl, and while she was being the big sister for that girl, what happened was Family and Children's Services stepped in and took her out of her biological family's home. Well, for whatever the reasons are, my wife and I stepped to the plate and said, we'll take her on as foster parents. Well, that foster parents, after a year, we became her legal guardians. So in fact, she became my daughter. 9 years old, 10 years old, I got a new daughter. Well, she's now 35 years old and the mother of my grandson. And I just found out 2 weeks ago, the mother of my next grandchild to come. And actually her husband is a fireman. So it's kind of appropriate to be here this evening to see the firemen receive their awards. So Big Brothers Big Sisters has played a big part in our family and our life, being able to provide something. We took it maybe a step farther, but being able to provide help to children in need. And Big Brothers Big Sisters definitely needs the support, whether it's, yes, financial support is nice, but it's nice to have the support and to be able to put this on Cogeco, to get it out there to say, people, come out, sign up, ride the ride, and now I'm going to let Gary explain more about it.
Thank you, Mr. Boggio.
And whoops, and I just lost it. I'm sorry.
The
IE,
the E with, yeah, maybe Anna, can you help?
Right there.
Yep, right there.
We want to get the.
Got it. Okay.
Great.
And click on it. You're looking at one of the most computer illiterate people I know. It is not a race. It's a fun ride.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For looking at that. Larry, can you get on here? I put a flyer on everybody's desk, And
Yes, we do have that. It was in our package as well.
excuse me,
Is it on here?
it's on there. Thanks very much, Cindy. First, again, my name is Gary Bellhouse. I've been a member of our community for over 40 years. And Mr. Mayor, council, members of staff, and other members of the community, thank you very much for having us here today. I thought I'm going to talk about primarily what goes on at the ride, and I thought I'd start off with a quotation from the late John F. Kennedy. It says, "Nothing compares to the simple pleasure of a bike ride." And that's what this is about. If you want to be a Lance Armstrong, well, we've got the 100K ride for you, and you can go with Larry. If you want to go 25K and smell the roses and look at the beach all along the lake shore, well, then you come with me for the 25K ride. But starting at the top, Larry and I are members of the Long Beach Ride Committee, and we're putting this ride together to support Big Brothers and Big Sisters. As Larry mentioned, Big Brothers and Big Sisters changes lives and creates future leaders and makes productive people in our community. Now, the ride itself, if you'll notice up here, it says Long Beach Ride Committee, and then in support of Big Brothers and Big Sisters, in partnership with Niagara Sustainability. So if you want to do a big step forward in reducing your carbon footprint, on Father's Day, come for a bike ride instead of going for a drive in the country, ride your bike in the country and reduce your carbon footprint. And now, registration is $110, and that's valid for 2 riders, and that includes a $100, you would get a full tax receipt for $100. So if you looked at the cost of just participating as a rider, you get yourself, you bring a friend, costs you $110, you get a $100 tax receipt, you get a nice t-shirt, you get to participate in the barbecue afterwards, and probably with the tax receipt, it's probably going to cost you about $5 or $10 to support Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Now, the start times, I know, do you people know where DJ's restaurant is? Mm-hmm. In Wainfleet? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the Lions Club is just across the street from DJ's, and that's probably, I would say, we have access there to probably the best roads for bicycling from here to Toronto.
Aside from Pelham, no doubt.
Aside from Pelham.
Well, we have the easy, so the easiest. They're flat out there, yes. Oh, geez. How can I say that? But, I mean, other than, well, we train in Pelham on the hills.
Oh, very good.
And when we want to relax, go for a long ride, we go out to Wainfleet. But again, I guess our objective is, we're hoping that you will consider participating. That's the first part. We want riders to participate. We had over 100. We have sponsors this year like Lafarge. They were there last year. They're coming again this year. We have Energy Fitness. We have Amici per la Vita from Niagara Falls. So we have a lot of good people involved as well, of course, with our partner NSI supporting Big Brothers and Sisters. So if there's some way that the town of Pelham could see their way to a sponsorship of some kind, or at the least come out and go for a very enjoyable 25K ride and meet a lot of your friends and families from all the areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And thank you, Mr. Boggio, for your presentation as well and your leadership. Do any members of council have any questions? Councillor King?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for your presentation. Mr. Boggio, it is because of your wife's story that I have been so inspired to be so involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters and have agreed for the third year to chair the Sisterhood of Style event in November.
Very good.
My question is that last year I did ride the ride in less than top condition, and I've been challenged to ride it again this year. So my two questions are you going to predict rain again this year? And if not, what's the expected race pace this year?
Okay, one is not a race, but we have two different, we
You
have,
said last year.
we will have, yes. We have the 100 kilometers, and really 100 kilometers, the expectation is to do it in 3.5 hours. So you're going on average speed about 30 kilometers an hour. The 50 kilometers is going to have two start times, so that there'll be the ones that are going the 25 kilometers an hour, and then the ones that are going roughly 20 kilometers an hour. So that 20 kilometers an hour is a nice, easy pace for people to ride, and it's more enjoyable to, as Gary would say, smell the roses. And then the 25 kilometer, it's going to be, I don't know what the pace is, less than 20 kilometers an hour, and it is just, there will be probably some children on that ride, there will be, and the idea is for everybody to stay together. Sort of like, you know, as they talk about the pelotons in the Tour de France. This is not the Tour de France by any means. But, the idea is for everyone to ride together, to have an enjoyable day. A nice, safe ride, and Lafarge comes out and they talk about truck safety and where, you know, and things like that, and to be careful to watch for big vehicles on the roads, and so.
Could I add, this year we have Port Colborne High School participating. I don't know if you've heard of Aubrey Foley. He's reconditioning bikes and he's sending them to third world countries. The analogy being someone in the third world country getting a bike, it's like you or I getting a new car. It just broadens everything that they can do. And we're going to have riders, we're going to have 5 to 10 students that work on these bikes for Mr. Foley and through Port Colborne High School. They'll be riding on the reconditioned bikes in the 25K.
That's great.
So, there, that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
Perfect. I could donate my bike and not ride.
I think they want you to ride.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Peter Papp is not here. He is with the Big Brothers Big Sisters as well, and he is planning on riding. He was there last year, and he is planning on riding this year. And, you know, heaven help us, it will not rain.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thanks very much for your presentation. We greatly appreciate it, and we wish you all the luck. We'll have to consider who else is going to join Councillor King and Councillor Papp on that ride from council. So thank you very much, and thanks again for your leadership and involvement with a very important cause in our community. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham receives the delegations by Gary Bellhouse and Larry Boggio to promote the Long Beach Ride for information. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thanks again for your presentation. All the best. Thank you. And if you would invite Councillor Papp back in, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. The next item would be the report from Regional Councillor Brian Beatty. He's not with us this evening. I do want to just quickly highlight a couple of items, if you don't mind. You recall last meeting that Councillor Beatty spoke about most of our time being spent on that wetlands issues and the biodiversity offsetting, etc. We had to have a makeup meeting, so it was in the afternoon on the 28th, and that issue was dealt with again and deferred, as it was in Niagara Falls, to follow due process. So that's what happened there, and we look forward to that issue coming forward. Another issue of importance in our community, both because Councillor Papp was involved and Councillor Durley in setting up the Niagara Specialized Transit, but also because of some of the riders in our community. So this was raised that there was to be a 33% increase in the fare charged for the Niagara Specialized Transit from $7.50 per ride to $10 per ride. So I rose on the issue and had that increase deferred until further notice, and really convinced Regional Council that that was something that we really should look at. There is a new service provider, and that was supposed to be timed with the increase, but we had that deferred. So we'll keep you informed on that piece, and I think it's going to form part of the discussions we have at the Transportation Strategy Steering Committee tomorrow. Another important issue for some residents of our community is, and this was brought forward by Councillor Volpatti, about Lyme disease, how this disease can just really hugely affect in a negative way families. And so council supported a resolution by Councillor Volpatti unanimously to call on the federal and provincial governments to come up with some strategies and provide some funding for Lyme disease. That was the first meeting. In the second meeting that evening, we did receive a presentation regarding the Healthy Kids program. This is something that Ms. Van Ravensway has informed us about, and we had some information last meeting. So that's the program that's being done at the skate park. So we had some information about that, and it was kind of the launch for that. We did approve a committee to recruit a new CAO. You saw that in some of the news. So we look forward to that information coming, and I believe Mr. Schlang's last days are coming at the end of this month. And we did receive some updates from Mr. Bob Sagan, who's the Economic Development Officer, or was at that point. It was his last regional council meeting, and he introduced Mr. David Oakes, who lives in town, but is well known across Niagara. He was the Economic Development Officer for the City of St. Catharines. He's now for the region. And one of there were 4 different presentations. One of the most interesting, I felt, was the piece on competitive and benchmarking, and so what they did was they took the view of somebody wanting to invest in Niagara. What are the key things that those investors look at, and gave some benchmarks. So it was a draft report, but it's important, I think, that the region is looking at that to say, what's the cost for locating here? What's the red tape and taxes and development charges and all that other thing? So we compare pretty favorably, I think, to other regions that they looked at, a few in Ontario and a few in the States as well. So I'll keep you informed on that one when it comes back. It was sort of a draft report to us, but I thought you'd be interested in that. So that is my brief and quick report to council, and we look forward to more, perhaps, complete report from Councillor Beatty at our next meeting. So we don't need a motion, but thank you very much, councillors, for your latitude in allowing me to just give you a brief update. We'll now move into adoption of minutes from council, and it has been moved by Councillor Junkin, second by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. Minutes of the regular meeting of council of April 18th and of the special meeting of council of April 25th. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Next, our consent agenda items for separate consideration. Are there any items that members of council would like to lift for separate consideration? We'll start with Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to lift item 10.6.1, the resolution from the municipality of Blue Water regarding physician recruitment support.
Okay, thank you. Any others? All right, we'll deal with that one separately. Thank you. So it has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be resolved that the following consent agenda items be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. 1, recommendations arising from the Policy and Priorities Committee of April 18th, and the resolution is be it resolved that the recommendations arising during the PNP meeting number 4 of 2016 of April 18th be received and approved. There's also information here about the concussion policy and the legal and insurance follow-up, so we'll be receiving that information, item for information. There's minutes from the committee meeting of April 18th, so not the resolutions, but the minutes, and we're going to be receiving those. And there's several items of information for correspondence. There are now 12. The first we'll deal with separately under the Blue Water one. There's information regarding physician recruitment from the Township of Warwick. Information, a resolution regarding Ontario Energy from the Township of North Stormont. Council resolution regarding wind energy from the municipality of Dunton Dunwich. A resolution regarding the RED program, the Rural Economic Development Program from the municipality of South Dundas. A resolution from the Township of Gillies regarding no wake legislation. And there's a few here regarding anti-human trafficking and Bill 158. There's one from the Clearship Township, one from the Township of Prescott, and one from the Township of Southgate. We also received a thank you letter from Pelham Cares regarding the 2016 municipal grant, and some information from CP Railway regarding their 2016 vegetation control program. It's a quite extensive overview report from 2015 from Niagara Regional Housing, and also a letter from the Niagara Escarpment Plan Discussion Paper Executive Summaries. Then there's some committee reports for information. The Active Transportation minutes of the meeting of March 22nd, Seniors Advisory Committee minutes of March 12th, and the Pelham Beautification Committee minutes of March 15th. Do any members of council like to comment on any of those items? Councillor Ribiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like just to speak briefly about 10.2, the concussion policy, legal and insurance follow-up. I take it that what we're going to receive at some point is an amended or revised policy that will include the legal advice that we're talking about within this letter here, within the report.
Thank you. I had the same question, and who's going to answer that, Madam Clerk, or? Madam Clerk?
Certainly I can, through you, Mr. Mayor. The concussion policy will be presented to the next council meeting. And most of the recommendations from legal and insurance were part of the procedure that will augment the policy. So there will be very few changes, I would think, to the policy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate that. In reading this report, and to be honest, trying to recall the actual policy that was presented in draft, I note that there's an absence of a reference to calling 911. I'm just wondering whether that shouldn't be in there someplace. I leave that with you to consider in terms of the policy.
Ms. Van Ravensway?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. As mentioned previously, that will be covered under the procedures.
Okay.
We will be sending the policy back for your review next
Okay.
meeting as well.
Okay, fair enough. I just thought it was kind of blatant in its absence, and I just wanted to be sure that, in fact, one of the things that someone would do, presumably staff if they're on, is to call that number and not to feel constrained from calling it, lest it to bring on some sort of liability or obligation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else on the concussion policy? Okay, so we look forward to that coming at the next P&P, I gather. Thank you. Anyone else on any of the other items under consent agenda? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. So, Councillor Durley, you did lift that one item, and I see you have a motion here. You going to read it?
Go ahead.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King, that communication item 10.6.1 be received, and the resolution contained therein passed by the Council of Blue Water regarding physician recruitment be endorsed and supported, and that this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, federal and provincial ministries of health, the Ontario College of Physicians and Surgeons, local MPPs, local municipalities, including the region of Niagara. Councillor Durley, would you like to speak to it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Notwithstanding the fact that there is reference to rural areas or rural populations in that motion, the situation is common to all. Having attended the Ontario Medical Association annual general meeting reception last Thursday, and having had the opportunity to speak with several doctors regarding the recruitment matter, it's evident that the challenge of recruiting folks in the medical profession is a common problem throughout the whole province. It's also very evident that the provincial government, by unilaterally reducing physician service expenditures by some 7% since February 2015, is adding to the challenges we're already facing. Here in Pelham and other municipalities in Niagara, we're facing these very same challenges. support for a movement such as the one suggested in the Blue Water resolution, and also if we notice the Township of Walpole is supporting and endorsing that same motion, and I'm sure many other municipalities throughout the province are. Cutting expenditures to this area will definitely have a negative impact on the quality of life for Ontario residents. So supporting the previously mentioned rationale, which I just said, I would like to put forth the motion, as I said, to support and endorse the Blue Water situation. It's truly something that we need out there, and the doctors that I spoke to on Thursday are all definitely concerned with some of the mentioned points that I just brought forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other councillors regarding Councillor Durley's motion? Councillor Pat?
Well, picking up where Councillor Durley is emphasizing, those incentives will also encourage us to be able to move forward with our medical center, because in light of that, it's not a secret that the physicians are feeling the heat and don't have the type of resources and incentives that they need in order to consider relocating, or for that matter, starting up a practice. So highly supportive of it.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other members? Thank you, Councillor Durley, for continuing to do this and raise this to Council's agenda, and also for attending that on behalf of Council. So thank you very much. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Now we move to report from members of council. I have my report. Very pleased, a couple of items I'd like to highlight here. Very pleased to attend the 65th Annual Agricultural Dinner on April 19th, and along with Councillor Junkin at the Fonthill Legion. It's always a great meal, and I'd encourage all members of council to attend in future years. It was a packed house to hear a very special speaker, Adam Schultz. Many coined him as Canada's Indiana Jones. I called him Pelham's Indiana Jones. But certainly just the adventures that he described for us, it was outstanding, and really the how he's finding the source of rivers in the north, and all of his exploring in the across the globe. So congratulations to the Lions for a great event, and to Adam Schultz for a great presentation. Also, along with Councillor Pat, very pleased to attend the meeting of the Rotary Club at Lookout Point Country Club on the 20th of April, providing information about the Pelham Community Centre and other developments in the town, answering their questions, etc. Very pleased how closely the Welland and the Fonthill Rotary Clubs work, so congratulations. And they were supporting Habitat for Humanity jointly, so. Very pleased to attend the Kinsman Home and Garden Show, and I know that all members of council did so as well. I want to certainly thank the Kinsman for putting on the Home and Garden Show this year, that in the 21st year, and using the Pelham Marina to do that. Of course, council was there talking about the Pelham Community Centre, but staff were there for the whole weekend as well, talking about the various other services that the town provides. And so very, very excited, some of the staff, about things, and it's wonderful to see that and interact with them, and see them interact with members of the community. So on behalf of council, thanks to all the staff that were at that event, and also who worked to put together the booth that we had. There were also volunteers for the active transportation portion, and so it was great to have those volunteers as well. Along with Councillor Ribiak, pleased to join Councillor Kersey in making a presentation to the Public Library Board about the Pelham Community Centre, and just giving them an update and answering questions. That was on April 27th. And along with Councillor Kersey and Ribiak, again, pleased to attend the Probus Club meeting at the Fonthill Legion. A packed house there. Great to see that club is doing very, very well. I had last spoken to them at their inaugural meeting in January of 2014, but great to see that they have a good group there. And there we were providing information and answering questions about the Pelham Community Centre and other developments in the town. That is my report. Pending any comments or questions, I'm going to see that we have a motion. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Pat. Be it resolved, the council receive Mayor Osteen's report for May 2nd, 2016 for information. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks to all. Now we move to presentation consideration of bylaws. We have 5, and it has been moved by Councillor Junkin, seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time and do pass the same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. 1. Bylaw 3739, being a bylaw to authorize the construction and operation of a multi-use community facility known as the Pelham Community Center, and to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the necessary agreements for continuing design and architectural services with Petroff Partnership Architects, project management services with Ball Construction, and management of the fundraising strategy component with Intercom Inc. 2. Bylaw 3740, being a bylaw to authorize certain new capital works of the Corporation of the Town of Pelham, the lower tier municipality, to authorize the submission of an application to Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation for financing such capital works, to authorize temporarily borrowing from Infrastructure Ontario to meet expenditures in connection with such works, and to authorize long-term borrowing for such works through the issuance of debentures by the Regional Municipality of Niagara, the upper tier municipality, to Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation. 3. Bylaw 3741, being a bylaw to appoint Derek Dahlman as Bylaw Enforcement Officer and Property Standards Officer for the Corporation of the Town of Pelham. 4. Bylaw 3742, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement for the lands located at 1423 Pelham Street, Barber Family Holdings, file number SP 0715. And finally, Bylaw 5, Bylaw 3743, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement for the lands located at 1421 Pelham Street, McGill Churple Family Holdings, file SP 0615. Comments or questions on any of those bylaws? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. And now our confirming bylaw. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and passed, being bylaw 3744, to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of Council of the Town of Pelham at its regular meeting held today, the 2nd day of May, 2016. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And it has been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for Monday, May 16th, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Let's take a couple-minute break.